Hello there, Matt here with 5280 Armory. I've been getting asked quite a bit lately about this new Armscore Rock Island pistol. It's new to me as well, so why don't we learn together? Let's take a closer look at this STK100 chambered 9mm. This is Rock Island's first striker-fired pistol to hit the market. Well, at least the first one to hit the U.S. market that we're aware of. Now, we here at 5280 Armory have had a long history with this company. As a matter of fact, it just happens to be one of the very first pistols that we sold 21 years ago. There's no doubt that this pistol is heavily influenced by the Glock design, and one of the biggest differences that we're going to notice first is the metal frame. It's made out of Series 7000 aircraft-grade aluminum. That's going to give it that perfect balance between durability and lightweight. Do keep in mind though, at 30 ounces unloaded, no mag in, that's still around 8 ounces heavier than this Glock 19X that I have right here. So I'll let you be the judge whether or not that's going to be light enough for you. For those of you that prefer the metal frame to a polymer frame, may also appreciate the fact that the grip angle is different as well. Not everybody loves the Glock angle at around 22.5 degrees. The STK100 is going to be closer to 15 degrees, otherwise known as the 1911 grip angle. That's just going to be more of a natural fit for some of you. The texture of the grip is machined into the aluminum, so we hope that you like it. Oftentimes, metal frames will have separate grip panels. That allows a customer to change the grip panels if they desire, especially when a manufacturer is clever enough to use an existing pattern that's so common like a 1911 that gives them a ton of market choices to choose from. The side panels on the grips have a checkered pattern to them, and they're slightly raised and fairly aggressive, but I must say when I grip the pistol, I barely even notice them. The front strap has grooves horizontally cut into it, while the back strap has more of a V-shaped diagonal pattern. I find the front and back strap to be a little slick, especially up high around the beaver tail, but we'll address that more when we're out shooting because that's where it matters the most. The front of the frame tapers down a bit where you'll find the very common M1913 accessory rail. Right behind that it widens to house the almost identical Glock-like internals and trigger assembly. The front of the trigger guard is round and smooth. At the back of the trigger guard, it's undercut ever so slightly at the front strap. So slight as a matter of fact, it almost makes you wonder why they bothered at all. I've read some reports that would suggest that this magazine release is reversible, but I really don't see how with this example that we have here. The release itself is plenty tall, but that ends up being negated by its placement. It's a little bit closer to the trigger, and that ends up being so well shrouded by the grip that I find it difficult to reach. I find that I have to adjust my grip to disengage the magazine. By comparison, this 19X has this oversized mag release. I don't have to adjust my grip. It's much easier to get to. They did choose to oversize the slide stop, and I really like that. It's not ambidextrous, however. They also scalloped out that beaver tail very well. That's going to give that very desirable high grip to low bore axis ratio. I did find it strange that they didn't finish beveling the mag well. The front strap got a little attention, but the sidewalls got none. That's become a feature that's so very common today that it's kind of strange that it's not there. Moving on, what about this patent-pending clamshell frame design? I noticed these trigger screws almost immediately, but I didn't notice these other frame screws until I turned the firearm onto its other side. This is when I took a much closer look at the frame, and I noticed that I am in fact looking at a two-piece frame, held together by at least 6 screws. This is pretty unusual, so we'll debate the wisdom of this later on if it ever becomes a negative issue. The steel slide has front and rear cocking serrations, and 7 lightning cuts. That's probably a pretty good idea. You really don't want this pistol gaining any more weight. The front sight is the tenon style, just like a Glock. Now this won't be able to be adjusted unless you replace the whole sight. The rear sight is attached to the removable cover plate. The optics footprint underneath is going to be consistent with that of the Vortex Venom or the Crimson Trace pattern. You can really tell that Glock has let its patent expire. So many of the pistols we look at nowadays are so similar to Glock. The disassembly is identical. Hold your slide back just a bit, depress equally on both sides of the disassembly bar, let it go, pull the trigger, and remove your slide from the frame. The recoil rod is metal, and it's also got a self-contained flat recoil spring on it. The barrel is 4.5 inches long and is one piece as well. Come to think of it, you really don't see linkage as much anymore. I guess that's just a design that has come and gone. Under the hood, the only thing I think you're going to notice is really different from a Glock is the length of these rails. The theory is this should be a significant benefit to accuracy. We'll see about that later. And once again, not trying to sound like a broken record, the safeties are going to be similar to a Glock. Trigger safety, drop safety, and firing pin safety. Reassembly is going to be a breeze. Barrel into the slide, followed by the recoil rod and spring. Onto the rails. Good to go. We'll save some of these other features that I want to talk about for when we're out on the range and shooting. It's going to be more fun that way. Let's get our stuff together and let's go shooting. Oh, and by the way, if you think you heard somebody snoring coming from the inside of this room, I think I might know who it is. Cooper, you about ready to get going, buddy? Maybe not. The STK is going to be compared to Glock throughout all of this testing for good reason. So I thought I'd get a few shots through this 19X before we got started. That way I would have something to compare it to. The Glock pistols usually come in at about 5, maybe 6 pounds on the Lyman gauge. I'm extremely familiar with the Glock pistols. I've been shooting them for a long time. This one's been on the range side for a bit, so the trigger's pretty well broken in. Now, the Arms Corps website said that we could expect about 3 to 7 pounds. Well, that's a pretty big variance, so I wasn't really sure what to expect. Upon testing it, the gauge says that they're reading about the same, about 5 to 6 pounds, so that's good news. Now that I know what I can expect from the trigger, I'd like to know what I can expect from accuracy. So I'm going to shoot a couple of groups and I'm going to take my time. So I'm going to check back with you in just a minute. That's not bad, but I think I can do better on this next group. The first 2 shot groups were with your target grade ammunition. The third one was with the more expensive carry grade ammunition. They were all averaging about 2 inches at 30 feet. This next shot group I'm going to try is going to be at 25 yards. Throughout the day, my average at 30 feet has been about 2 inches or less. At 25 yards, about 4 inches. Now last week I was shooting the Wilson Combat version of the SIG P320. That's going to be a very strong contender for the next competition. But let's see how this STK100 does. Well, had a failure to feed on that one, or fire. Well, I didn't have too much trouble keeping most of my shots inside of that center mass 0 ring. I did miss a few, but that's what practice is for. Let's put this accessory rail to use. I've thrown a laser on there. Well, lasers do have their purpose. The advertisement says that the Glock mag should work okay. That'll be kind of interesting considering they've changed the grip angle. Let's give it a try. Let's see what happens. Well, I had one failure to fire there. Yeah, it did load. I do have a strike on the primer, so let's try again. Let's load up a few more shots. Got $1. It says if we hit this primer again, it goes off. I'll put it on the top so we can see. Yep, that was that one that had the strike on the primer. Well, it cleared the rest of the mag. We'll try a few more and see what we get. I've been working with the Glock mag a little bit more since we had that one issue, and I haven't had any trouble, so you can see we just finished that mag, or at least the rounds I had in it. Glock mags drop right out. Let's see how the factory mags do. They drop right out too. I have literally been running this pistol all day today, and for the most part I've had a very good time with it. It did have a couple times where it misfired, and I had to clean it, but to be fair, that's to be expected. It's brand new and it's still breaking in. If you want to have a closer look at this Rock Island STK100, come on down, 5280 Armory, Colorado's Gun Shop. We'll see you soon. Hey, and don't forget, if you like watching videos about firearms and supporting your Second Amendment, or you're from another country and wish you had a Second Amendment, do us a big favor. Hit that subscribe button so we can keep this channel going. And thanks for watching.